I'm lost in darkness, searching for light. Every step forward feels like a fight. Shadows of doubt creep in my mind, but I refuse to surrender. I must find a way to rise above the pain, to overcome, to break the chains. My existence is a test of will. I won't be broken, I'll stand still. The weight of the world crushes me down. Fear and uncertainty all around. But I deep find inner strength that face the trials length by length. A way to rise above the pain, to overcome, to break the chains. My existence is a test of will. I won't be broken, I'll stand still. Through every storm, I'll find my way. Through every night, a brighter day. I'll rise from ashes, like a phoenix born. My spirit unbroken, my heart reborn. I've walked through fire and emerged scarred, but wiser, stronger, and unmarred. My existence is a test of will, of trials overcome, of a soul made bold. The way of the world, above the pain, to overcome, to break the chains. My existence is a test of will. I won't be broken, I'll stand still. Oh, made bold. Through every storm, I'll find my way. Through every night, a brighter day. I'll rise from ashes like a phoenix born. My spirit unbroken, my spirit unborn. Day to day, nothing changes. All I want is a moment to think clearly, but thoughts come unrelenting, consuming every waking moment. My mind binds me and I can't escape.
Greetings and salutations, everyone, and welcome to the Dirt Sheet Radio NXT post-show rewind for January the 28th, 2025. I'm Tyler, the Pro Wrestling Hipster, here with Little Molly Holly, the long-haired Chihuahua. We're flying solo tonight for you guys tonight, breaking down NXT and recapping all the action that happened at tonight's Atlanta show at Center Stage. And we have a lot to cover. We are heading hard into the build towards Vengeance Day here coming up on February 15th. And, obviously Royal Rumble Saturday, but NXT's not focusing too much on that. But a lot to cover and get through tonight. And guys, before we get into all the action, I have to give an ever important shout out to our partner on the web, comicbookclick.com. That's comicbookclick.com/dirtsheetradio for all your pop culture, comic book, professional wrestling needs, all in one convenient location. Check it out, make it your homepage, and look at it multiple times a day, just like we do. Not because we're legally obligated, but because we love to do it. to check it out, guys. But yeah, we are here to talk about NXT, and we have a lot to cover tonight. A lot happened. We had title matches on the card tonight. A lot going on, but we're going to start with the main event here. Tonight's main event, the WWE Women's Tag Team Championship on the line. Naomi and Bianca Belair defending against the Meta Girls, as they call them now, Jakara Jackson and Lash Legend. And guys, I don't think I was alone here tonight in thinking that it was going to be the return of those tag titles to NXT. Hell of a main event, a great match, bell to bell, just under 13 minutes. But when it was all said and done, Bianca Belair and Naomi retaining the Women's Tag Team Championship. I'm not gonna lie, I'm disappointed. I was really hoping to be sitting here tonight talking about the new tag team champions, and I think the audience there in Atlanta was also a bit crestfallen at the Meta Girls not picking up the straps tonight. They were booing. And you don't typically hear Bianca or Naomi get booed, but the crowd not happy with that. But like I said, the match itself, fantastic. And while I was hopeful and really did want the titles to change hands here tonight, it makes sense that they didn't. The titles are tied into the Jade Cargill injury angle, the whole thing. So it makes sense, but still, I was hoping. I kind of talked myself into believing it was going to happen tonight. And honestly, that speaks well to NXT. They made me believe. They made me believe in something, and then the hope was just snatched away violently and cruelly. Yeah. So again, I say this. I probably say this just about once a week. Hey, how we doing? I say this about once a week, but they should never have split those damn belts. There should be women's tag titles on NXT, and it's I don't know. I don't know what they're doing. This doesn't look great for Jakara and Lash either. They've kind of been dabbling on the main roster. This win here would have been huge and pretty monumental for them, and the loss is kind of hurtful. It was clean. This is what it is. But again, the match itself was good. I don't often vehemently disagree with a booking decision, but I really do think that they should have went with the title change here. I think it would have been something very fresh and new. It would have been surprising. Would have been nice for the CW to kind of get that with NXT, get the kind of a set of belts that go everywhere there. I don't know. Someday those belts will return to NXT, but yeah. Also, during the match, there was a backstage segment that kind of cut in during the match where a very upset Cora Jade was going to Ava to discuss something with her, and I'll kind of discuss why she was doing that a little bit later. But yeah, so kind of interesting that they did that way. And as NXT was going off the air, it went to like the multicolor bars that used to be, at the end of any kind of like broadcast signal, and it had WWE up there, and then that kind of like clicked away, and then Vengeance Day typed into place. So don't really know what this means, what this signals, but it's something. It certainly means something. It doesn't mean nothing. Otherwise, they wouldn't have done it. So we'll see. We'll see what this means going forward. Some return, a newcomer. It's hard to say, but certainly, I thought at first it was a mistake, and then when it popped up and said Vengeance Day, I was like, okay, this was supposed to happen. And then I had it confirmed via Twitter X, whatever you want to call it, had it confirmed over there that it was also like that on the Netflix feed as well. So it was supposed to happen that way. So it means something. It's important. All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and hop us around to the start of tonight's show. NXT came to us from Atlanta, Bad Street, Atlanta. I wasn't on Bad Street. I was at Center Stage. Yeah, they should. They absolutely should bring back the women's NXT tag titles. Agree wholeheartedly. I will say it every single week. Maybe it'll happen. I feel like I shouted Fraxium loudly enough that it started to become a thing. I'm not taking credit for Fraxium. Um, but yeah, they really do need those belts. Their own setback. But yeah, we were in Atlanta tonight at Center Stage. Really cool staging here they did. I was talking to John kind of in our pre-production here. Less round looking than when Ring of Honor was there before. But yeah, it looked great. I'm not sure what the capacity is. I didn't have ticket numbers for tonight's show, but it looked good. The crowd looked packed, and they were certainly loud and rambunctious and ready for a great show tonight, and they got that. We had Vic Joseph breaking down what was going to be coming up on the show tonight as folks arrived into the arena, and of course on the call tonight we had Vic Joseph, Booker T, and Corey Graves there again tonight. I'm going to say he was like 65% less surly tonight. He's accepting what's going on here. So I don't know. Maybe they talked him down. He's doing all right there. But yeah, so we pretty much went really straight into tonight's opening match, opening hot tonight. NXT Women's Champion Giulia teaming with Bayley against Roxanne, Perez, and Cora Jade. Yeah, huge reception, both for Giulia and for Bayley, of course. Bayley, getting some shine back there, hanging out back down at the developmental brand for a little bit, in what I assume is going to be Roxanne Perez's last chapter here at NXT. But this opening tag match was a great opener. Really set the tone and the pace for the night. Bayley and Giulia picking up the win in 12 minutes and 57 seconds. I was kind of back and forth. I didn't know that we were going to actually get a clean finish in this match here tonight. Like I said, I feel like this is kind of the first chapter in what is Bayley and Roxanne Perez's program here, and will probably be, part of the last chapter for Roxy at NXT. There's a couple little things I'd like to see Roxy get to do still while she's in developmental, but I mean she's main roster bound soon. But yeah, great match, good shine all around, and yeah. I really want to see Bayley and Roxy get rolling here, working one-on-one. We're not quite getting there yet. We'll talk later here tonight about the match that was set for Vengeance Day coming up in just a few weeks here. But we'll get there when we get there. After the match, Bayley and Giulia did shake hands. So, babyface is getting along. Always nice to see people can have friends, guys. Babyfaces are allowed to have friends. It's one thing I like in the modern Leveckian HBK era is that, babyfaces aren't as dumb as they once were, and they're allowed to have friends that aren't like, tag partners or, immediate faction members. It's great. Realistic. People having friends, guys. That's how it is. After that match, we had a pre-taped segment with Eddie Thorpe. Man, they got to do something to get some heat back on Eddie here. He's still coming across a little too whiny in these. Like his reasoning for what he's done isn't quite there. He's begged, borrowed, and stolen his way into these title opportunities. And I don't know. He needs to be a little stronger of a heel. Maybe, I don't know, a splash more of what they're doing with like Ethan Page, getting him a little more violent, a little more ruthless, might benefit him. Maybe I don't know. I don't know. They'll figure it out. It's they're really they're shooting for it's a little spaghetti effect here. They're throwing it against the wall and seeing what's sticking. the DJ thing didn't. They're trying with Eddie. He's good. He's good in the ring. They just gotta get that piece there to click for him. But we'll see. But all right, so next up, one of our advertised segments, we had the Grayson Waller effect. So we had Grayson Waller and Austin Theory out there. And man, this crowd was hype for Atlanta's own Austin Theory, cheering him, chanting his name. Um, Grayson's a professional here. He didn't get frustrated with it. He seemed all right. There was one bit where he did seem a bit worried. The crowd was chanting "Turn on Grayson," and Austin Theory kind of played around with it. He's like, "Hey, you guys ready? All right, here we go." Out, and Grayson now shouted to not turn on him, and that was fun. It was a fun moment. But they weren't there just to kind of jaw with one another. They did a good amount of that, but they were there to interview the current reigning NXT champion and ruler, Oba Femi. Man, Oba Femi is good in all aspects here, but he stood on the mic across from Grayson Waller and Austin Theory. And he stood his own on the mic. And I'm not saying that either Grayson or Austin were, trying to take any, major swings or anything, or trying to put him on his heels or anything like that. It didn't really feel quite that way, but he felt strong on the mic against them, and they're good talkers. He was even going as far as saying that he's accomplished more in his short time here in NXT than both of them did combined, which, from a singles perspective, is actually pretty true. But yeah, they jawed back and forth here for a bit, and the ruler declared that at Vengeance Day he would be defending his NXT championship against one of them. They can figure this out, and obviously, Austin Theory thought it was going to be him. Grayson Waller thought that it would be him, and this led to Ava coming out, and Ava seems to finally. And I'm glad. I'm glad to hear a GM doing this, because wrestlers, champion or not, you don't book the shows. That's what the GM does. They're the matchmaker. They're the general manager. This is their job. This is what they do. And all too often, wrestlers are permitted to book their own matches, especially champions, and they can't just be, handing out championship opportunities like they're Pez. Do people still eat Pez? Is that still a thing for y'all? I don't know. Or whatever contemporary candy that people are handing out. Ava's starting to stand up to that. And it's crazy that she's standing up to Oba Femi of all people, because he's far from the first champion to be guilty of this sort of behavior. But this is where she's drawing the line. She's drawing the line at the ruler. But she's angry that he's just trying to make this. And backstage watching this the whole time was Trick Williams. And before she can really get going here too much, Trick Williams' music hit. He rams down to the ring. There's a skirmish. He ends up eating a nasty power bomb from Oba Femi. And this leads into the commercial break. And this is double unfortunate for the former NXT champion Trick Williams, as not only was this just kind of embarrassing, he kind of just got pwned, as we used to say on the internet. His match was next, though, so he was starting his match here after the break, already a little behind the eight ball. But coming back from the break, before the match, we had Sarah Schreiber with Izzy Dame inquiring about her relationship with Tony D'Angelo, and she said there's really nothing going on. They're not even friends. They just have a common enemy in Sean Spears. And so she helped. Bada bing, bada boom. And Rich Holland showed up, and he was pretty upset, as he always is. And he said that she has some explaining to do after costing him a match. Channing Stacks Lorenzo showed up and said, "Hey, there's no way to talk to a lady." And so it looks like we'll probably get something between Rich and Stacks coming out in the very, very near future. But all right, so from there back to the ring, we had a very hurt appearing Trick Williams, still trying to recover from that power bomb he received from the NXT champion. As Wes Lee made his way to the ring with Tyreek and Tyson. Trick Williams, he tried his best. He pulled it out. He rallied. The crowd was behind him. He and Wes put on a pretty fantastic match. I mean, what you'd expect from two people as high caliber as Wes Lee and Trick Williams. But surprising ending here. Trick Williams with interference from Tyreek and Tyson, he has stance all he can stance, and he can't stance no more. He has snapped, wielding a chair. He is disqualified. Wes Lee wins in 10 minutes and 12 seconds via disqualification. I like that. I like this. Apparently I say this with a lot of wrestlers when they have them show a little bit more of a hard edge and aggression. I think it's a good move, and I think that's something he needs as a character. Trick's a great wrestler. He's fantastic, but he does need a little more hard edge there. And I'm fine with a babyface getting disqualified from time to time. It makes sense. Everybody loses their temper, and this is how you get to your stipulation matches. So I like where they went with this. Thought it was a solid way to go. And as an aside, Wes Lee is killing it with this heel character now. He has adapted to this and really taken to it like a duck to water. It's fantastic. I questioned how well he was going to do with it when the turn first happened, because he's not the biggest dude on the block, and sometimes it's hard for a small guy to be an effective heel without being like a chicken shit. And he's not really a chicken shit heel. He's still a tough wrestler, and he's toned down some of the flash in his repertoire, and it's working great. So fantastic. Again, another guy. I really don't know what much more he can do in developmental before popping up to the main roster. But hey, I'm an advocate of not moving folks to the main roster before you actually have something for them to do on the main roster. You don't want them just floundering up there and getting defined down. It's not good, because it's really hard to build people back up once they get defined down. You've seen it happen, God, probably a couple dozen times at this point. All right, excuse me. So from there, back in the backstage, we had Femi barging into Ava's office, and she is upset about him and others trying to make matches. And she said at Vengeance Day, it's going to be Femi versus Waller. And he said, good, you've made a decision. Me and Waller. She said, no, let me finish. Mr. wants to make matches. She didn't call him that. It's going to be Femi versus Grayson Waller versus Austin Theory for the NXT Championship. Man, I mean, she's punishing him. She really is. She's using a triple threat to punish him effectively, which I get, because it's really not fair to be thrust into a triple threat like that. But she's tired of him trying to make his own matches and others trying to make his own matches. He's kind of just the kid that got caught, though. A lot of people do it. A lot of people are speeding, but he's the one that the cop hit with the laser gun and pulled over. So Ava, punishing Femi for doing something that everyone else is doing as well, but she's shutting this shit down, Negan style, So, and if she starts swinging a bat at people, it's gone a step too far. But that's going to be a hell of a match, though, and it'll be interesting to see what kind of interplay they do with Theory and Waller. I mean, there is no honor among thieves, right? Two heels are going to heel, and Femi kind of walking that line. He's technically, I think, still in that heel category just based off of his actions and overall persona, but he's getting cheered, So from that perspective, he really is a face. He's a badass, though. I'll say that as often as I need to. He is an absolute badass. We had Ava storm into the men's locker room. She got in Trick's face here, and she's trying to be pretty badass here. and it's coming off somewhere between authoritative and bratty. There is a line here, but she's doing a good job here. But I don't know if they're trying to make her more heelish or if they're just trying to give her, a little more chutzpah here and a little more balls. But it worked, I think, for the most part. But we'll see if they keep giving her this kind of energy going forward. And she did inform Trick that at Vengeance Day it would be Oba Femi, Grayson Waller, and Austin Theory, and Trick ain't happy about that. Trick wants rematch at Oba, but tis not happening soon. Trick, sorry, probably eventually, but not right now. Honestly, I'd like to see them, excuse me, keep Trick away from the NXT Championship for a little bit. Get him out of that picture for a while. Let's crank up the heat with him and Wes Lee. Let's get a program going there. I like the the interplay and the chemistry with those guys. Let's focus more on that tonight. Get him away from Oba for a while. Hell, maybe he's going to be on the main roster soon. Not Oba, I mean, but Trick. I mean that transfer window, that portal, it's swirling and open, guys. All right. Next up on the card, our next title match, we had the Women's North American Championship. Fallon Henley defending against Shotzi tonight. I thought this was a great match. I mean, Shotzi's fantastic, and Fallon Henley. I said this near the turn of the year. I think Fallon Henley is probably one of the biggest breakouts in the NXT women's division as an NXT grown talent. There, she is fantastic. She has improved in the ring, on the mic, and she's been carrying this belt with pride, and she walks like a champion. I think she's fantastic. They are still sowing a little bit of dissent between her and Jasmine, sorry, not Jasmine, JC Jane. So they're still kind of sowing that, but they're slow burning that, which I'm fine with. Slow burn storytelling seems to be how WWE wants to do things nowadays, and I'm not going to complain about it. I think it works better. But Shotzi and Fallon put on a great show here, but at the end of the day, this was not to be Shotzi's night. Fallon Henley retaining the championship tonight. And she will be facing Stephanie Vacker at Vengeance Day. That's very well put, very well put. But so after the match, Stephanie did come out and stare down with Fallon, and I'm a little back and forth here. I kind of assumed that when Stephanie got to Fallon for this championship, she'd be walking away with the strap, but I feel like it's a little premature to take the belt off of Fallon, but I also don't really want Stephanie to lose. I mean, I guess it could be a disqualification. They could have her, lose through interference of some kind with the other members of Fatal Influence. I don't know this. I'm interested to see what they do with this, which I like that. I like not being 100% on what the outcome of the match is going to be going in. That's good for me as a nearly 40-year-old jaded wrestling fan. It's always fun when I can be pushed into uncertainty as far as an outcome is concerned. But like I said, great match. 10 minutes, 15 seconds. By the way, every match tonight was over the 10-minute mark. I'll talk about that again with a total here later tonight. But I thought they worked a good match here together. So kudos to all the women involved here. But all right, moving on from there, we were backstage with Carmen Petrovic and Kalani Jordan. Carmen tried to thank Kalani for the help last week, but Jordan said she did it for herself because she doesn't like Cora Jade. It had nothing to do with Carmen Petrovic. And they kind of had some words here. And Kalani, before walking off, said that, it's only a matter of time before Ashante the Adonis leaves her ass. And then she walked off, and Carmen Petrovic just looked off in the camera and said, "What a bitch." And I was shocked that you can say "what a bitch" on the CW. But then I remembered that, like, the CW is the network that aired, things like, Gossip Girl and things like that. I'm sure, the word bitch is thrown around a lot. But Buffy was on there, Supernatural. Worse things have been said on the CW network, I'm sure. But so that sets up for you a match that we'll see next week between those two. Ahead of the break here, we had Ethan Page make his entrance. God, his entrance music grows on me week after week. I like it a lot. It's one of my favorite NXT themes. That one, Fatal Influences theme. There's a few down on NXT that I've come to really enjoy. Like, not so much that I'm going to put them on my iPod or anything. That's a dated reference, but they're they're not bad. Better than a lot of the themes have been. Coming back from the break, we had Sarah Schreiber catching up with Ava, who reiterated that the triple threat was going to be happening, and then she said she wanted to focus on the women's division. She said that at the at the PLE, she wanted to find a great challenger, the best to face Giulia, and it's going to be. And then Roxanne Perez showed up, interrupted, and said, "Well, it better not be Bayley." Cora was there, still kind of nursing the impact of the end of her match. And she was saying that, she wasn't the one that got pinned tonight. She still should be getting this opportunity. It was Cora that got pinned, not her. And you could tell visibly that Cora wasn't happy with her saying that. And Ava told Roxy to let her finish. And she said it would be Giulia versus Bayley versus Roxanne Perez for the NXT Women's Championship at Vengeance Day. And Roxy, happy with this, said, "Good." And Cora and Jade said, "No, we're not," and walked away. So, a little trouble between Cora and Roxy there. Cora not happy with the way Roxa so forcibly pointed out that she was the one that took the pin in the loss tonight. Vengeance Day, apparently night of the triple threats. We'll see if they add any more triple threats to this. It seems to be the the juice of the night for Vengeance Day, which is fine. I'm fine with that. It's going to be a great match. Again, I'm always looking forward to these NXT shows, but Vengeance Day is going to be great. On paper, especially, it looks fantastic already. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Got a few weeks to go, leading into that. So they've got a little more fuse to burn before we get to the keg. But we'll see what they got coming forward. All right, so Ethan Page waiting his opponent in ring as set up last week. We had Cedric Alexander back from having his hand crushed in a toolbox to face Ethan Page, looking for a pound of flesh to avenge his friend Javon Evans with the wired shut jaw. Vengeance was not to be Cedric's tonight. Ethan Page picks up the win here in 11 minutes and 10 seconds. After the match, Ethan tries to brutalize Cedric Alexander, going for the attack, but he is cut off as Javon Evans makes the save. Javon Evans, as I said on commentary, still not cleared for in-ring action, but he didn't care. He was looking for some revenge, and I'm sure that we'll be getting some confirmation with action soon. I mean, come on, his jaw's wired shut. He can wrestle, right? They can find a doctor to clear him. What city is Vengeance Day going to be in? Like, maybe we can find some quack in that town that'll be like, yeah, it's fine. You can go ahead and get in the ring. He wants to get that revenge, guys. I like this. This is good. Javon Evans was already a great babyface character, and now you're just making him even more wildly sympathetic than he already was. So, good on him. And this is, I say this, I've said this for the last few weeks. Love this ruthless all ego, all violence. Like, it's great. It's cool that he's able to turn up that facet of his heel character, and that's going to serve him well once he is up on the main roster. All right, back in the backstage, we had Fatal Influence getting a little bit of mic time. Fallon Henley upset, saying that nobody should be cutting her off in her moment of victory, like Stephanie Vacker just did. And as she was talking, JC Jane cut her off and took control of the promo. And again, they're sowing the seeds here. But Henley said that JC would take care of it next week, so we'll see how that goes for him. But yeah, like I said, these seeds of dissent being sown between JC Jane and Fallon Henley, which I always find a little bit interesting. I assume that would lead to a face turn for Fallon going back face in that scenario, as I don't think anybody would believe that JC would be a face again. She tricked us all when she, charmed her way into Chase U. I mean, she did save Chase U with her calendars that she did, but she, did end up stealing the bulk of the money, I think. So, evil JC, evil JC. All right. So from there, they announced that next week we will be getting Kalani Jordan and Carmen Petrovic, and we will also be getting Ridge Holland and Stax. So like I said, setting up for those matches earlier tonight. They showed both sets of the women's tag teams in the main event, walking through the backstage area ahead of the main event that we covered at the top of tonight's show. The progressive spotlight tonight was about Josh Briggs and Yoshiki Inamura. And Josh Briggs presented Inamura with a vest, very similar to his, stating that they have to look like a tag team, right? And Inamura said that he loved it, and he stated that he knows that Josh, when he went to Japan, wanted to step out and be on his own and not be part of a team anymore, but he accepted him. And I like this team. I was excited for Josh to break out on his own here, but I like this pairing. I think they make a pretty compelling team here, and I like to see what they can do here. Josh said that, they will work their way to Fraxium, and I like that too. I like a team, making their intentions clear, setting their path, getting expectations there, and now just have them, rack up some wins, do it over the course of a month or so. Let them be a challenger for Fraxium. I don't know that they take the belts from Fraxium, but at this point, I don't know who takes the belts from Fraxium. Fraxium is tag team of the flipping year for 2024, in my, hipster opinion. But so I like the use of these progressive spotlights every week. It feels like this is something once upon a time they would have used to show like a recap of something from a week prior. But nowadays they use it to get in some extra promo time for people. And I like that good use of time. NXT makes fantastic use of time. And that's going to bring us back up to the main event. But before I get into the jobbers and megastars of the night here, I do want to say, speaking of good use of time, now keep in mind, I was an English major. Math, not my strong suit, okay? However, I crunched the numbers tonight, and on a 2-hour broadcast on network television, 57 minutes and 32 seconds, bell to bell wrestling time. That's pretty solid. I gotta say, that's pretty damn good for a 2-hour broadcast on network TV with commercials. NXT, like, come on, we're doing it here. This could happen. We on Raw. This could happen on SmackDown. AEW's numbers are relatively close to this week to week on in-ring time, but like, this could be the norm, guys. The show had good flow. You still had a bevy of backstage and promo segments that didn't drag. Everything flowed well. I say this a lot of NXT, but the flow of the show is great.
Speaking of the flow of the show, and it comes to NXT, Fightful is reporting that NXT is about to change their touring schedule, and it's expected that there's going to be 2 tapings a month on the road, while the remaining weeks will be
Hell
taped at
yeah.
the PC moving forward. They don't know if this is long term or not, but for the time being, it looks like NXT is going to be taking it, hitting the pavement.
That's
Fun times.
fantastic, and that's almost what they've been hitting as it's been. It's been almost every other week that they've had them on the road, and that's great.
So, I guess
That's great.
how long before NXT at the Hammerstein Ballroom? That's gotta be. It looks like they're hitting all of the
Mm.
not minor, but smaller secondary venues in the larger areas. So you figure WWE will run New York City sometime, and then they'll do an NXT at like the Hammerstein or something really cool. I'm excited to see NXT on the road like that, especially in these really cool venues with all these cool sets that they have.
Oh yeah, they. I enjoy the road shows. I like the staging that they do. It always looks cool. They make the most of their space, and they pick venues that have pretty good acoustics. Music venues will have that effect, but yeah, man, that is fantastic news. Um, on the road at least twice a month, so every other week. I think that's good. It's not just good for a change of scenery, and a slight change of background for the viewing audience, but it's also good for the talent. It's a better barometer as to who's over and what's working. I love the Performance Center. I appreciate what it does and what it means for all of the talent involved. But you're working in front of basically the same few hundred people every week, and you get a relationship there, and that relationship can skew what is actually truly over and working. But so that's fantastic news. Great news. Looking forward to that. And yeah, like John said, they're hitting all these classic, uh, you know, not tiny but smaller venues, and yeah, I'm sure we'll get them at Hammerstein at some point. I think that is a inevitability, and it is inevitable. But guys, that is NXT back up to the main event tonight. So I think it's going to take us into the jobbers of the night for NXT. Oh, this hurts my heart. It's Jakara Jackson and Lash Legend. I'm just so disappointed. This doesn't look good for them. They needed this win really badly. This would have meant a lot to their trajectory and their careers. I think they would have been taken pretty seriously. And I don't know if it's an issue of they didn't want a title change like this happening on NXT. Like if this had been on a SmackDown, if this had been on Raw, if it had been on, uh, somewhere in the middle of a PLE, would a title change have happened? Maybe. It should have happened here tonight. It's unfortunate, and I think that this does hurt them a bit. So we'll see what they do going forward. They can bounce back. They're both good, and both Jakara and Lash especially, has improved so much since first coming onto the NXT scene. But yeah, I thought this was their night. I really did, and it's unfortunate, and I hope they can bounce back. But in perception and in my eyes, it hurts their characters here. This is a rough ending for them, and the crowd thought so too. They were booing it. They were booing it. I believe Lash is from Atlanta. Holy hell, a lot of wrestlers are from Atlanta. It's like a third of the rosters from Atlanta. But they were booing. They were booing and unhappy, and I agree with them on that. But unfortunately for this loss and the trajectory of the characters, my jobbers tonight are Lash and Jakara. But hopping into higher heights and happier things, it's the NXT Megastar of the night. And I got two. I got two for two different reasons here. First and foremost, I got to give it to Fallon Henley NXT Women's North American Champion. I am loving her reign with this belt. No disrespect to Kalani, who I think is actually starting to find her footing with more character nowadays, but Fallon should have had that belt right off the rip. It should have been hers straight from then. So they're making up with for some lost time here, and that's why I'm torn on whether or not she should drop this belt to Stephanie Vacker at Vengeance Day. I really, I think it's too soon. Like, I want to see her have more time with this belt. I think she's doing great with the championship. I think she's doing great with this heel character. I really can't say enough nice things about Fallon Henley. So she is, my primary megastar tonight. So hell yeah, Fallon. I said this last year that she was going to have a great 2024. I think she's going to have an even better 2025. She's the North America's champion now. I say by the end of 2025, if not early 2026, she'll be NXT Women's Champion without question. But also, I want to give mention to Ava. I liked this strong stand up to people character they gave her tonight. I don't know what happened. If she's, it's Zoa. Maybe she drank a few Zoas before the show tonight. She is all amped up and juiced and ready to go. She's the final boss of NXT, guys. But yeah, standing up to everybody, left and right. But she needs to be careful, though. She wasn't very skilled in ring, so I would watch how much she runs her mouth. But we'll see if this carries on week to week, if they're trying to give her more of a heel slant. I don't really want them to make her a heel necessarily, but I like that they're having her stand up to the talent and quit letting them run roughshod over her, and quit letting the inmates run the asylum as it would be. So Fallon and Ava both getting mentions there tonight. But guys, wonderful NXT. Had a great time breaking it down for you tonight. I've got good news for you. We're not just here on Tuesdays talking NXT. Pro wrestling, it never stops, and Dirt Sheet Radio is always on. We are here Monday nights for Raw, Tuesdays, obviously, for NXT. Wednesday nights, you know what that means. It's AEW Dynamite. Thursdays are for TNA Impact, and Fridays are, of course, for Friday Night SmackDown. And guys, if you're up late on Wednesday nights, be sure to check out the DSR flagship program late every Wednesday night. If you're like, just listen Thursday morning. You'll be there with your coffee waiting for you every morning. And also, guys, we got weekend shows. Myself and CJ hitting it live on the weekends with the Weekend Wrestling Roundup, the W. Because that's how we like to talk. We're weird, like to be different. But we're always having a good time with that. And also, on Sundays, the 3NT crew breaking it down live. All of Professor Wrestling having a good time. Check them out live every single Sunday. Guys, Dirt Sheet Radio live 8 times a week. 8 times a week. There's only 7 days. There's only 7 days. And we're live on all of them. Guys. And of course, we will be live Saturday night after the Royal Rumble for the Royal Rumble Rewind. Guys, thank you so much. I'm Tyler, the Pro Wrestling Hipster. We'll be back live tomorrow night for AEW Dynamite. Have a good night, everybody.